Hello again, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to play you a video in a second of last week's Prime Minister's questions. The reason I'm playing this video for you is because there's been some comments made by Baroness Carr, the Lady Chief Justice, and she's attacking the Prime Minister for his unacceptable criticism last week of an immigration judge who allowed Palestinian refugees to come to the UK from Gaza. Kemi Badenoch, who's about to ask this question, and Kier were having this exchange at Prime Minister's questions, and the Lady Chief Justice is not happy with them. So let's listen to the clip and I'll get back to you afterwards.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative government established the Ukraine Family Scheme, and in total, over 200,000 Ukrainians, mostly women, children and the elderly, have found sanctuary in the UK from Putin's war. However, a family of 6 from Gaza have applied to live in Britain using this scheme, and a judge has now ruled in their favour. This is not what the scheme was designed to do. This decision is completely wrong. It cannot be allowed to stand. Is the government planning to appeal on any points of law? And if so, which ones?
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. I do not agree with the decision. She's right. It's the wrong decision. She hasn't quite done her homework because the decision in question was taken under the last government according to the legal framework of the last government. But, Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. It should be Parliament that makes the rules on immigration. It should be the government that makes the policy. That is the principle, and the Home Secretary is already looking at the legal loophole which we need to close in this particular case.
So there you have it. The leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, was discussing something with the Prime Minister. It was Prime Minister's questions after all, and she was raising quite a valid point in my mind, which was, why are these refugees being allowed into the country under a different scheme meant for Ukraine? This wasn't what the scheme was meant for. And mass immigration and migration is top of the agenda at the moment in the UK, and so it's a fair enough question for Kemi Badenoch to ask of the Prime Minister, like, why is this going on? Now, Baroness Carr, the Lady Chief Justice, attacked the Prime Minister and Kemi Badenoch for this unacceptable criticism of the immigration judge who allowed these Palestinian refugees to come to the UK from Gaza. At a press conference, she said Kier and Kemi, the Tory leader and the leader of the opposition, had failed to respect and protect judges by publicly criticising the verdict as wrong, and she was deeply troubled by their comments and said she had written to Kier and the Lord Chancellor, Shabana Mahmood, to remind them that politicians must respect judicial independence. Now, for once, the Prime Minister appeared to do the right thing and push back, saying it's for Parliament to make laws and for the government to decide policy. So you need the judges and these decisions to be kept separate from politicians, because otherwise you're into the realms of Argentina or whatever it is, or a Venezuela. You go well off the tracks. There has to be a separation between the politicians who make the laws and the judges who uphold the law. This is fine. However, what it seems like is happening here is you've got judges, and particularly because the Supreme Court was formed in 2009, since then, these judges have played a large part in our lives. If you think back to the Brexit debacle, when these judges were making decisions which were going against what the majority of the country wanted to happen, you can see here that these judges have a bit of independence over what they want to do, perhaps what their politics are or what their personal feelings are. And this Baroness, Lady Chief Justice, attacking the Prime Minister and attacking the Leader of the Opposition just for discussing one of these decisions is bang out of order to my mind. Now, the politicians have to go on making the laws, and the judges have to go on, handing out these judgments and having these opinions. But as recent cases have shown up, particularly with the chicken nuggets issue, which has been hilariously portrayed in the media. I'm sure there was more to the chicken nuggets thing than, oh, I don't want to leave because he likes chicken nuggets. But safe to say that the politicians are making the laws and the judges are handing out the decisions, but it would appear in this country that the judges are getting a little bit out of control. The judges are kind of making decisions that they think is right. This judge here in this case has ruled that these people, these Palestinian family, are allowed to come to this country based upon a scheme that was started for Ukrainian refugees. Now, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of headroom within that. It seems like this judge quite wanted to do that. And for that reason, I think at some point in the future, if we're going to have a country where the politicians are running the country and where we can elect people, we'll have to at some point call into question the supremacy of this Supreme Court. Parliament must be sovereign. It must be able to make these rules. And if you've got these activist judges stepping in whenever they want to and making these random decisions, then really, we don't really have a democracy, do we? Thanks very much for your time.